we've gone from here
to here at the OCB Arena with the national Singapore badminton team.
So we are spending the week here in Singapore learning how some of the world's best players train and bringing you closer to the action.
So as you can see, we are starting at the end. We've just had the pleasure of training with the Singapore national doubles squad. And it's been quite a tough session for us who we don't normally train anywhere near this much. Dean, you were with the men's doubles lot, I was with the women's doubles. How did you find it?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly been a long time since I've trained and played at this level, and definitely took me a while to get up to speed, up to sharpness, but towards the end started to hormone a little bit more, but it's just great to be involved again. You know, you can see the style of play is very much fast orientated, a lot of smashing, a lot of drives, and certainly tested our reactions.
So I think what we'll do is we'll go through what exercises we did in the training that maybe you could implement in your training, and we'll discuss the differences we found between sort of the ethos here to sort of traditional English training and how it varies.
So the first routine that we did today was 3 versus 2 defence with 2 feeders at the net and 1 in the rear court, and very much a focus on kind of competing with the net players, using our drives, and when they felt under pressure, maybe kind of using the bat to alleviate that pressure from the front, then try and feel like they could rebuild the rally a little bit more from there.
It's a very much about a high pressure situation, trying to stay relaxed, which you could see a lot of them kind of, it took a while to get into it, and even for us when we were at the net, trying to get used to that speed as well, and then being relaxed to alleviate that pressure. And the more pressure you're under, you need to be more relaxed for that scenario.
It's a very high pressure situation, obviously, in a game when you're playing against 2 people, and I think the reason that they practice against the 3 is if they can feel like they can cope with that type of pressure. The idea is you then go into a game and feel like you've got even more space, or you're used to being under more pressure, so the gaps almost become larger.
Yeah, and then we switched it up and we did 2 at the back and then 1 at the front, and it's sort of a different style there where actually there's maybe less pressure coming for that front play. You could get a few blocks in as well, but really trying to move the shuttle around, lots of cross lifts, getting your partner on the straight. And very much a different style of defence in a way.
Yeah, and that one routine maybe a little bit more outplaying the net man. Once you drew the net player out wide, then you use the space in the cross court. And it's a great tactic that we obviously talked about a lot when we've done some of our double stuff about moving the net player to the straight and then using that space on the cross. And it's good to implement that into a routine as well.
And I think what we found here, because we do all these exercises, we've done these a lot in our own training, but the ethos and sort of the mentality in this style of training in Singapore is quite different to England. It's very much about kind of enjoyment. There's elements of kind of not worrying too much about consistency, giving that freedom to try shots. Whereas in England, we're quite set on you've got to be consistent from feeders and workers. And that was very, very different here, I found.
And the other big difference we found maybe between England and here was that the sets were actually very long. So whether that was a case of the physicality or just giving the players a little bit more opportunity to get into the rally, if they were making mistakes, they have to worry about it because they had a long time to almost rectify it, rather than kind of feeling like, well, I've only got a 2-minute set. I can't try things because if I make errors, then the sets are not really rallying too much. So it's an interesting, different way of looking at the training and the way the length of the sets.
Yeah, and you could see in the styles, like in England, it's very much 1.5 minute, maybe 2-minute sets, and you'd rotate around. Here, we're doing 10-minute sets almost. And sometimes because the consistency is maybe not as high all the time, and sometimes sort of it's slightly slower paced, but for much, much longer. And you can see that adds to that physicality, I found.
Definitely added to my physicality. The next routine was to move it more into a match play situation. Yeah. So we were doing 3 versus 2 games, and the first game we played was the front out. So again, there's conditions with the match play. We're not just going straight into 3, probably making sure we're practicing what they just worked, and then using that into a match play situation. But obviously, it came a little bit more competitive, and obviously again a lot of fun on the court.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of sort of enjoyment on there, and you'll see in the videos we're having lots of fun on there. But yeah, it's quite fast and flat. I know you, Dean, just mentioning the men's doubles. It's very fast, flat. They're wanting to drive. They're wanting to push up. Slightly different from a style we traditionally do in England, where we take the pace out a lot and try and manoeuvre the players. And that's just, as you watch a lot of different countries and nationalities, their styles differ.
Yeah, and also on my court, when I was playing, I was very much keen to throw the first block in because I wanted that time just to kind of settle a little bit more. But it was very quick, very frantic, and very, very high pace. We talked about the shot. What's important, again, to reference is the speed of movement, and something that, yes, of course, they're professional players, they're training a lot, but their top speed is what they're trying to work towards. And I think what we're trying to say is that you can also find your top speed and keep pushing that top speed up. Yes, you're probably not going to match the same level here, but always look for that intensity to increase.
And then we sort of moved that game on to actually bring the front in and the back out. Very much all about a no lift style here. You're allowed to sort of quite slightly fast lift but obviously didn't have that length you could play. The only rule they did bring in was actually a flat drive was allowed to go into the back. And this very much was then dictating the net, like who can get onto the net the earliest. And this is something I think we see a lot in particularly club badminton. People kind of don't put enough emphasis on, is moving forward, getting your base further up the court, moving around each other to get on that net and be the person to take the shuttle the earliest.
Definitely. We often say that, if the only option you give your opponents is to lift, you'll struggle to lose because you're forcing them to defend. But for that to happen, you need to really earn that, and you have to close the gaps down. If you're already standing in the back, there's no reason for them to lift.
Yeah. And then we actually progressed into more doubles match play. And that was 3v2, but the 3 are rotating. So there's always 2 on court. Yeah. Rotate every few points. So you're always fresh against that 2. And that was really no rules in that. It was just a normal game, but you could see everyone still had that style. It was quite fast, quite flat and aggressive. Very aggressive on defence as well. So even if they opened it out, they're looking to be aggressive straight away. They're not just accepting that constant relift. And Dean, you were very happy. You managed to win yours.
I did.
So you were quite happy.
I was in the 3, I must say. So it wasn't all me. But again, I think by that time I got used to a little bit of the higher pace of play. As I said, it's been a long time since competing and playing at this level, so I started to get behind a little bit more. And again, actually for me, it was about within the matches actually suiting a style that suited me. I wasn't comfortable going flat on drives against a pair that were probably going to be stronger than me, so I was quite happy blocking, moving in and making the game a little bit more open.
And finally, we actually moved on to something we haven't really done before, which was a 3v1 defence doubles game, where we were part of the 3 on the attack against the defender. How did you find that, Dean? Something new.
I thought it was a good exercise. And again, I think part of the reason why we're here to learn new things as coaches, and that's, I think as a coach, you never finish learning. We're trying to learn as much as we can while we're out here as well and go back with new routines. And a lot of high pressure again for the 1. Obviously, they were just staying in the half court, and they aim again very much to use the court available, trying to feel like they're still trying to pull the 3-out position. And we also just had to kind of pin it into that side as much as we possibly could, really.
And what I'd say, if you're going to take this routine away and go and do it, a lot of the emphasis is on that 3 as well, moving around each other. I think we often see 3v2 games, 3v1 games, where actually the 3 are a bit lazy and not rotating. That person who's on the cross is pushing up as high as they can, rotating around each other all the time, and that's what makes the routine so good.
I think that's really important, David's point there is that please try these routines out. Don't see these are just for professionals. These can be filtered of all kinds of level, and they will really make a positive impact on your game.
So it has been an absolutely incredible experience training with this lot today. We're both absolutely dripping. It's been a long session for us. I think we're going to have to go and have a nap, I reckon. We hope you sort of took some real good knowledge here, kind of good ideas on different routines and how you really can be pushing your training to get even better.
We thought we were just going to be sat behind a camera.
So we hope you enjoyed this first video from Singapore. Please hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see any more great content, and make sure you don't miss any videos we've got coming out soon.